Monday, we back in the house. Welcome to Cooperville Live. Joe, I'll say back from Rice Lake. Thanks for listening on the road. You can take us with you wherever you go. Safe travels. Welcome back to Cooperville Live. Toasty toast. Toasty toast out there, right? What are we at? 86. It's going to be a hot week. That's all right. You survive these, and then you can embrace the latter portions of the year. Winter is coming, as the old meme goes. Welcome to Cooperville Live, wherever you are watching. Facebook Live, on YouTube, on Twitch. Globally. We are global. We got a big show today. Dr. J is back on the program. Super excited for that. We're talking inspired versus motivated. And we are also going to talk about his virtual Financial Freedom 2021 Summit. That's all coming up today on the show. There we are. That's a free man right there. That was backwards. Up is down, left is right. Dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria on the show. Let's hit those sponsors real quick like. Okay. CoopervilleClothing.com. That's the jam. That's the Nope collection. You love it. You want it. I also almost got a great picture with Ryan Rubel over the course of this last weekend. Turns out it wasn't him. It was his twin brother. And I was going to do a really clever post like the Ope versus the Nope. But alas, it was not meant to be. You know what? You love it. CoopervilleClothing.com. A new drop, by the way. 2 new drops, to be precise, coming up on Friday at 8 a.m. Central. Get that drip. New drip. Every other Friday, we're dropping new stuff. That's going to be our mechanism for new items at CoopervilleClothing.com. Patrons, you get a discount. Check your Patreon account for that promo code. You get 20% off every single time you order at CoopervilleClothing.com. The benefits outweigh the non-benefits of being a patron, which is at patreon.com/Cooperville Live. Captain Coop's Beard Company, we are going to be out at Riverfest in Chippewa Falls coming up. I believe it's on August 12th. I believe. I'll double check the date on that. But we're going to be out. It's our first post-pandemic BS on-site event with Captain Coops. We're going to have all of our products out there. We're thinking about getting some of our merch out there too. So we'll do some tees and some racerbacks out there too. So stand by for details on that. Follow us on all the socials. Captain Coops Beard Co. is on Facebook and Instagram, and we're also on Twitter. Now you know. Taking the pain in the ass out of meal prep, because there is no meal prep with Midwest Meals. It is just good, healthy, delicious, fresh food delivered right to your door that you do not have to worry about prepping. All you have to do is peel back the lid a little bit, pop it in the microwave, and boom, pow, Mediterranean dish served up for you amongst 16 other signature meals. You can build your own stuff. You can get protein by the pound, including lean turkey and lean beef and chicken, all this stuff. Check out MidwestMeals.com. Use the promo code Cooper at checkout and get 10% off your first order from my friends at Midwest Meals. They do ship nationwide, so wherever you happen to be watching the program, you can get the goodies delivered to you. I believe it is only continental United States. Maybe it's all 50. I don't know. Check the shipping. That's all I'm going to say. MidwestMeals.com is the website. So there we go. Hope you had a great weekend. It was a very busy one for us. We did the jam for 2 days and realized, now I've done music festivals for a decade plus. Been a part of them, and usually when I'm at a music festival, I'm not 100% there to enjoy said music festival. I'm there to work at said music festival, whether it's emceeing or whether it's working with the radio stations, all this stuff, promo stuff, whatever. So I'm on what they call a schedule. Be here at this time, do this at this time, all that stuff. When I'm not, the off switch does not come into play. Realize that at Jam. But it was great. We had a great Thursday night. We went out there after the show, after we had Brennan Murphy on. Friday we spent the afternoon. We went out there till the evening. And then Saturday came. We had the opportunity to go. But the struggle bus was chewing pretty loudly in the house. So we did not. But a great 2 days, a lot of great stories that we'll tell throughout the course of the week. The one major one, if you've never heard of Chris Jansen before, that dude slays. Like, fantastic live show. We saw him on Friday, and it was amazing. Energetic, rowdy, good times. Dude was playing every instrument. There was harmonica to drums to guitar to... Was there a ukulele in there? I don't know. But it was a great show. Chris Jansen was fantastic. Amongst all the other artists that we saw, it was a great time. Live music is back. People are back out doing stuff. I know Rockfest over in Cadott had a hugely successful year, record numbers. So it is good to see the people are back full force. Can't stop us now. But if they try to stop us now, good luck. Good luck. One of the fun stories from the course of the weekend, and like I said, there's many of them which I'll share throughout the progression of the week this week on the show, is Friday night we thought we had Nicole's mom took us to the Dodge, which is a bar about 3 miles away from the festival. Like, we'll stop here, we'll have a bloody, whatever, and then we will Uber it out to the grounds, and we thought we had a ride lined up to get out. We did not. That fell through. So we called Uber, and they said we cannot come out to the grounds at this time because traffic is just nuts, and the police were like, no. So after an incredibly long afternoon and night, we hoofed it from the Jam grounds back to the bar. 3 miles after a long day of being plenty hydrated. Woof. It was an interesting experience. Like intersections are all blocked off. There's police officers everywhere. We're just like walking, and it's like, hello. It's a good time though. Lots of fun. Sunday we ended up having a luncheon over at my cousin's house, and then we ended up on the boat. We're out on the boat for about an hour, and the boat dies. Does not start. So it was like rescue mission, like rescue 911. Not an emergency. And cousin and I jumped off, and we ropes around us. We're like one arm swimming towards shore and tied the boat to shore. Another friend of ours came by with a boat and towed us back to the dock or the boat landing, and woof da. But it's those kind of things, you know. We still enjoyed it. That's the adventures of life. Walking from a music festival 3.5 miles, 3 miles, I don't know, it's arbitrary, to a bar, and having a boat die in the middle of the river on Sunday, having to swim it to shore with 3 adults and 4 children and a partridge in a pear tree. It was wild. It was wild. But it was a good story. And I really feel like I'm a strong swimmer all of a sudden. Like, I never really thought of it. Like, I can swim. But pulling a boat in 30-foot deep water, that is a new experience. And I'm glad I got to have it. I feel better about myself. Speaking of adventures, for those of you who don't know, Joe, I know you were tuned into this, August 12th, so less than a month away from Epic Willie's Adventure. Please go follow Epic Willie's Adventure on Instagram and on Facebook, as we are making the trip in 1940s and 50s era Willie's Jeeps from Missouri to Oregon. No GPS, no highways, no paved roads. I think there's some paved road, but no highways. Epic Willie's Adventure. Going to be filming the whole thing. I'll be doing some social stuff for them and riding along. So epicwilliesadventure.com. Again, that starts on August 12th, goes through the 28th, making the OT, hashtag the OT, Oregon Trail in 1940s and 50s Willies. It's going to be so badass. I'm so excited. Like camping on the side of the road, all that shit, man. Legit. Going to be fun. So make sure you follow. And I'll be doing some stuff on my socials as well. So if you don't follow, you follow the show on wherever you're following it. But if you don't follow it on Facebook and on Insta, make sure you follow because we're going to be doing some wild stuff for Epic Willie's Adventure. Epic Willie's Adventure. EWA hashtag the OT. Be super fun. I'm excited for that. We got a big week of guests this week too. We're going to be doing our first live in person. Usually we'll be doing these all like right here. We'll still be here. We'll still be streaming, but we're going to have our guest on Wednesday live in the studio. We got to figure out how it's going to work and how it's going to look, but we're going to make it happen. That's coming up on Wednesday with my boy, Bobby Tripp. We're fun. We're going to talk radio. We ran into Bobby at Country Jam, and we missed like 45 minutes of a show. We were just back and forth talking. He was in radio for many years. I was in radio for many years. We were talking about the highs and lows, and I said, this should be on a podcast. He was like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, let's go on the live show. So Wednesday with Bobby Tripp, and up-and-coming country artist Garrett Schultz is on the show tomorrow. So a lot to look forward to as we roll through this here week in July. It'll be a hot one, too. I know Joe's not a fan, but we got like 80s and 90s all week this week. Bobby's my boy. Bobby and I used to work together, like in the same building. I was a few years ahead of him as far as like being on the radio, and he was doing part-time stuff, and I was full-time already. And then he moved on and obviously went full-time at a different company, and we both kind of departed. So we'll talk about it. That was our discussion, was like, let's just balls to the wallet. Let's open it up. Open up the truth bombs about the industry and about our experiences and where it is and where it was and where is it going. That's on Wednesday, so that'll be a good one. Tune in for that at 5 p.m. Central on all of the places that we are currently streaming. So good stuff. Again, Dr. J. LaGuardia going to be joining us here in just a bit, and a lot to discuss as we roll through the course of the week about the experiences of this past weekend. A lot of interesting things happen. Let's just put it that way. All right. Cool. If you are watching on any of the socials, you know that we put the link in for Dr. J, because Dr. J has his Virtual Financial Freedom 2021 Summit coming up, and the link is in the show notes wherever people are watching. So Dr. J is back on the show. How you doing, my friend?
Doing wonderful. How you doing, Coop?
It was another great weekend of live music and seeing human beings interacting as human beings again. I feel like it really adds to the experience. I've been to concerts and I've been a part of festivals and music festivals for a decade plus, and that was always an element of it. But to go now and you're like, I love people. I love seeing people. I love seeing people having a good time in their element, enjoying other human beings. It's refreshing to see. So we went to jam and had a great weekend this weekend. How about yourself?
Same thing, man. Getting out, living, enjoying life. And what it reminds us is that human beings by nature are communal. We have our tribes, we have our people, and when we don't, we really suffer emotionally and psychologically. And so the more isolation that we experience, the greater. And by the way, there's a physical effect of that as well too. So we are meant to be around others and to share and love and to enjoy each other's company. And what we're seeing right now is how important that is.
And it really is when you have that keen eye for things and you really watch how much people are truly enjoying the moments that they get. You know, when you have things that are taken away or things that don't happen that are part of, a lot of times people will book their vacations during summer around these music festivals that we're blessed to have 3 or 4 major ones here in our own backyard. When you take that away, like they double down, like they're coming out with a vengeance. And I saw that firsthand over the course of the last 3 weekends, which is a great thing to see. And yeah, embrace it and embrace all the luxuries that we have back in our lives these days. But I want to talk quickly about the Financial Freedom Summit that you have coming up. The link, again, is in the show notes. Let people know a little bit about it and what they can find when they click that link.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Financial Freedom Summit is something that is really near and dear to my heart, because one of the things we talk a lot about on our podcast is empowering people so they can prosper emotionally, physically, spiritually, and financially. And of course, this is the financial component. It's been said that our culture has a very low financial IQ. There's a variety of reasons for that, not enough for you and I to get into today. But the point being is that we have to constantly be searching and learning and growing about, how do we create within our lives a platform or a foundation to create prosperity. And it's not just in a sense of having a lot of money, but it's being able to the freedom and flexibility that comes with prosperity, the ability to be more generous, the ability to pass on generational wealth or legacy wealth from generation to generation, so that our heirs have a better life or a better head start than perhaps that we have. It's also about being stress-free. One of the number one causes of divorce in a marriage is over finances. So it's the inability to be on the same page, because each individual has their own beliefs around money, and one may be a little bit more abundant in their mindset, and someone may be more scarce in their mindset, and then that creates conflict. And so relationships, it's really important. Of course, as we age and as our financial our ability to generate wealth diminishes over time, is setting ourselves up so we're not struggling as we get older, and we can live a life of value and of virtue and be able to live a life of abundance. So the summit is August 3rd, August 4th, and as you mentioned, it's virtual. We got 5 absolutely incredible presenters in the field of financial intelligence, financial expert, mindset, and it's going to be a 2-day event. And the beauty of it is we're going to cover all gamuts. We're going to cover mindset. We're going to cover strategies. We're going to cover tactics. And then each of our attendees or registrants are going to have an opportunity to ask the panel a question or two that's important to them, that they want to learn more about. So it's really going to give people the opportunity to expand their consciousness about finances, to remove this stigma. I mean, a lot of people, when you start talking about finances, viscerally, they start to feel nauseous. Well, this is to take away all that uncertainty and doubt and fear, so you can be in control and have the opportunity, again, to create the kind of future that you want for you and your family. And you mentioned about the link. We've priced this event so inexpensively, and to be able to put 5 incredibly well-known experts together like this for such a low cost, I said to him, ladies, gentlemen, we need to do this because we need to get this information out to as many people as possible. They're willing to do it. And so I'm really excited about it. And thank you for sharing, and let me tell, everybody, one of your listeners about it.
No, I think it's so important. And one of those things, you mentioned getting, that feeling of nausea, and even you bring up the word finances. And I had this epiphany a few years back about my reaction towards money and where that stemmed from. And I reflected back to being a child and living in a very scarcity kind of environment. And so even though at times things, everything was financially stable, there was just like this weird innate fear of like, I don't know if should we get the extra large pizza, or is like I know it's like $3, like it's just a weird thing that, but when you start to reflect back on childhood, how you're brought up and just how you're kind of raised around your parents' reaction to money, whether it's an abundant or scarcity, like you said, that tends to bleed into how you react to money. And I think it takes a course like this and an event like this to kind of maybe break some people of those habits that they probably had for lifelong habits, just because of what they were taught from their, the top down.
Absolutely. We are a reflection of the environment in which we were raised in. And so our parents and people around us were only teaching what they knew. When I was growing up as a kid, my grandparents were from the Depression generation. So it was about conserve and restore because they never knew when the next meal or if the bank was going to close and they couldn't get money. This is what they experienced. It was real. But what I'm trying to tell you is someone who grew up in a real poverty-stricken home in scarcity, when I began to learn the mindset concepts of abundance is when I started to attract abundance. Even though, Coop, abundance existed all around me, I was incapable of seeing it because my mindset was very different. And what I'm trying to tell your listeners there is opportunity everywhere. You just have to know and be able to see it and be aware of it. And the only way you can do it is by increasing your financial IQ. And anyone can tap into it. You hear this saying, well, it's only for the upper 1%. That's BS. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's not the case. Once you've got the knowledge, you now have the empowerment to take action and to really do some pretty cool things.
Awesome. Everybody check out that link. It's in the notes in the comment sections here of the stream today. A topic that we are going to discuss: inspired versus motivated. And people could come and say, well, aren't they the same thing? And I think you have some great insight on this. So I'm gonna you sent me over this topic, and it's something that I've done some research on. I think in my readings and just in my personal development kind of road, those things have separate meanings, and I'll let you lean into the differences in that battle between inspired and motivated.
Look, they both are positive in its own way. We just need to understand what the difference is between the two. I'm sure most of your listeners at some point have gotten motivated by, maybe they heard a great song and they get jacked up, their energy gets jacked up, or they hear a great message or read a book or whatever the case may be, and they get motivated. Now, when they get motivated, it's an external source that creates a stimuli within us that causes a shift. However, the problem with motivation, it's transient and short term. So you get excited for a short period of time, and then we default back to our own habits and previous behaviors. The difference with being inspired is something that comes from within us. And it's usually by a thought of something bigger than ourselves. It could be inspired by God. It could be inspired by the universe. But it's when it literally shifts us permanently. So it's not a short-term thing. It's a permanent shift in how we think, act, or behave. So inspiration is easy to draw within when your vision or something that really that excites you, moves you in such a way that you can't wait to do it. It makes you happy. It makes you excited. And every day it's what you focus all your time and energy on. So it's okay to be motivated, but to understand that it's a short-term stimuli. What we want to do is become inspired. And so then the next question becomes, how do you get inspired? And I would say, for my own personal experience and my understanding and the research that I've done, is that inspiration can only occur when we experience solitude. Now, yes, you can have different inspirations, but my experience is to be inspired regularly is when we go to solitude. That means as we eliminate the distractions and the noise around us that are constantly fighting for our attention. Dr. Wayne Dyer, one of the foremost authors and personal growth gurus, said that inspiration occurs between the gap in your thoughts. So, and he says that's when God speaks to us, and that's in that silence. That's why you and I talk often about meditation. The meditation is quieting the mind, slowing the brain down so we have less thoughts, so we can have larger gaps between our thoughts. So we can be inspired by the voice within that gets us really excited about something perhaps we might not have contemplated previously. And the more you do this, the more you find solitude, the greater joy you begin to experience, because there's a level of euphoria in silence where nothing else matters. It's just you and your environment. And you get to a point of real peace and comfort. And there's a sense of wholeness and oneness. And again, that's when that that voice within is allowed to be expressed, and you can hear it because you can't hear it during the distraction. So solitude, meditation, prayer, and solitude can simply be going for a walk out in nature. Doesn't have to be, sitting in a chair and chanting a mantra. It doesn't have to be that. So I encourage every one of your listeners to practice getting quiet and experience solitude on a regular basis, and they will be inspired more than they've ever previously experienced, and it will really could create a life-altering shift, because literally it could take a second to be inspired to move in a different direction. I was having a conversation with a professional just a couple of days ago, and an attorney, high-level attorney, very successful. And one day she realized that she no longer, this path no longer resonated with her. And she just got quiet and she meditated on it. And she wanted to go back to school to be a healthcare provider and help people with nutrition. And she did that, and she's never been happier. Now, if she never got quiet, that inspiration never would have occurred, and she would have continued to go down a path that made her unhappy and miserable. And God only knows how that would impact her relationships, her physical and mental well-being.
And when you talk about inspired and motivated, and it's kind of an all-encompassing, when you talk about inspiration, it's an all-encompassing thing. It falls into, how well you take care of yourself. If you're working out, if you're if you need to lose weight, if you're, want to run a marathon. I mean, trust me, as a guy who runs every day, 6 out of those 7 days, I am not motivated to run. There's that voice in your head is going, like, do you really want to do this? But the inspired part is that long burning flame that goes, this is just part of the trajectory. And
sure,
with a lot of these things, and maybe this lies out in other areas too, outside of health and fitness, obviously in career moves or, relationships and how you want to be as a human being. But that silence it kind of bats back the negative voices in your head that are kind of killing that motivation. Because you mentioned motivation being it's like lighting a match. Ooh, match is burning hot and it's on fire and I'm ready to go and I'm riled up and I think I'm going to start a business. I'm going to start a workout routine. I'm going to start eating healthy. And then as soon as a breeze comes through, blows that flame out, and you're looking at a match that has no flame on it, you go, that was fun while it lasted. But that inspiration thing that comes from inside can align itself in all aspects of life.
Absolutely. And to add to that I would encourage your listeners, particularly with the young people around them, their kids, grandkids, is to elevate their expectations. If we want more out of life, we have to elevate our expectations. My belief is most of us have very low expectations because we're afraid of setting too high of expectations and not hitting them. So we set them low. It's been said that setting massive goals and setting small goals, we set small goals because we're afraid of hitting the massive goals. But the problem is we do hit the small goals and we keep setting smaller goals and smaller goals. So if you want something different and more out of life, change your expectations, because when we create a vision around that expectation and we can see ourselves in the outcome, then everything in our life, in our mind, begins to move in that direction to make it happen. And a lot of people think this is just kind of this ethereal, new age, crap. And I'm telling you, it's not. It's absolutely true. So if you're unhappy with where you are in life, raise your expectations and then begin to see what that outcome is. And the more you do with great specificity, the more that outcome will become a reality.
Do you find that that inspiration and motivation coexist? Like they kind of are on a parallel line. Obviously, one is more longevity and one kind of ebbs and flows up and down. Do you find that they can be parallel and continue to perpetuate people forward?
I'm not sure if parallel is the right word, as it is you can experience both on a regular basis. Like you can get temporarily, in other words, I bet you when you go out and run, you put a headset on, you put some music on, and if the right song comes on, man, you're jacked, you're ready to go, you're motivated, you're good to go, right? Yeah. Your day's off, your run's off to a good start. So you can experience both within the same day, or you can experience both within the same hour. It's just that one is far more transient and the other is far more substantial in its impact long term.
Yeah, I will tell you there's a massive difference, and this is only in like run times. From when I go out running and I know I'm going to do a short run, I'll listen to music because my run times are shorter. If I'm like going on a longer run, podcasts those run times get exorbitantly longer, and not because you're not. A lot of the podcasts I listen to obviously they're more positive, motivational. There's a lot of business talk and stuff like that, but you're just kind of going with it, left foot, right foot. But man, that song hits, and fatigue lets go. You know, your breathing regulates, and you're just like off like a bullet. I mean, so would be the long and the short of it all.
Well, and from a physiological standpoint, the reason that happens is we get an endorphin rush, right? So endorphin and dopamine kick into the brain, and it's a temporary surge. That's part of the physiological explanation between, motivation and inspiration. Where inspiration, it's a shift vibrationally on the cellular level, which is far more sustainable than having elevated hormones for a long period of time, because it just doesn't work that way. The other thing too, as I was mentioned about elevating expectations, is if someone has the mindset that life is about overcoming struggle, right? I want people to understand that this is really a flawed mindset. I've had the similar mindset again, growing up. It's really, life is not about that. If you feel like you're constantly struggling or battling, guys, you're always going to be struggling and battling. And again, it's probably the environment in which you were raised in, which created the belief system that you own. Same way, right? How to break that cycle, this flawed mindset. Because a champion or a high performer's mindset, they understand that life is about growth. It's about winning. It's about happiness. It's about joy, learning, contribution, peace, faith. We can live in this state of mind perpetually. And I know some people think, Jay, that's Pollyannish. And I'm telling you, it's not. It's just the way that we see the world, and that things that happen to us are happening for us, not to us. In other words, if my tire blows out on the way home and I wrecked the car, right? People see that as something that happened to me, right?
Right.
A winner's mindset sees that something that happened for me, even though they may not be able to see it in the moment. Because their mindset is, what is it from this experience I'm supposed to learn? That's immediately what comes into my mind. What is it in this experience that the universe is trying to show me? God's trying to show me, whatever you want to call it, right? And the lesson might be, you know what? I should have probably I've been thinking for a month, I needed to get in and have these tires checked.
Yep.
Right? So shift the mindset, how you see life, have greater expectations, and then spend time in solitude to be inspired more often. Because when you do, you will find the things you enjoy doing that really makes you happy. And if you do that more so than the things that you don't, you're going to live a really happy and very fruitful and very joyous life.
I think that's important for people to hear, but there's an ease, it feels like, and it's kind of perpetuated in media and even on social media, of that victim mentality where bad things happen to me. This happened to me. This, even though it doesn't maybe affect me, this happens to me, or the things that I believe in. So everybody is kind of granted this free pass to always feel like bad things happen. It's that victim mentality. There's a lot of, people bond over being a victim mentality. They kind of like all in the same, like, oh, well, all these bad things are just happening to us, and here's why we can't get above it. And the realization that you're explaining here is that it's all from within. It's all finding that reason to be inspired, to then live inspired, to then have a complete change of a perspective on things. When a tire blows out or when something not great happens, you don't take the victim road. You go, okay, maybe I should have called. a month ago when I was thinking about the tires. Maybe I should have done this. It crossed my mind, but all of a sudden this bad thing happens and it's victim mentality. It's like the natural course of reaction. But if you reframe your mindset, I think that, I mean, there is no limit to the amount of inspiration that you can have.
No question. And again, I'm speaking from personal experience. When good things happen in my life, I always expected something counter to happen, to sabotage, right? The good thing that was happening, a great relationship, a new opportunity, whatever the case may be. And guess what? It always happened. Now, it's not because the universe was conspiring against me. It's because I expected it to happen and I created it, right? So you talk about the victim mentality. Here's something I want everyone to understand, right? Is that bad shit happens. It just happens. Sometimes there's no explanation. But when it comes about being in the driver's seat of your life, if you live from that mindset, that is what you will have. If you shift that mindset, you will shift the outcome. You will shift the result. So I'm not going to say that if you live understanding that life is happening for me and there's no bad things, that's an illusion. Because there are certain bad things that are just totally unexplainable, way above my pay grade and understanding. But if you come from a different point of view, you will have a far more joyous and less stressful life.
What about, and maybe this does also fall into that victim mentality, but a mentality of like, oh, this person, good things always happen to them. You know, that this person is successful and they have this and, you know, great house, 2.5 kids. They have the lake house. There's this like this vantage point of others who have success that, well, good things only happen to this person or these type of people or people that, you know, live this certain way. Is that still victim mentality when you're outwardly looking at other people and saying, well, good things always happen to them. Nothing happens for me.
Absolutely. There's no question about it. You see, when you were conceived, there wasn't this assembly line that said your life's going to suck, yours is going to be good, yours will be blessed, yours is going to be it's going to be a struggle, right? It just doesn't work that way. And so when we look outwardly and we see what other people are doing, perhaps instead of being envious or jealous, maybe we might want to stop and say, what do they do that's different that has resulted in their success, right? Rather than looking at it in an envious manner, look at it and this person has figured some stuff out. Maybe I should have a conversation with them, you know? And so, and that's a hard thing to do. It's hard, it's hard for people to admit that. I understand that this is not an easy conversation in many situations. But when it comes down to victimization will only get you more victimization. And it is an incredibly dangerous path we're moving down in this country with victimization because it's very, very destructive emotionally. It's very destructive physically. And what it does is it creates a pity party amongst all the victims. And it eats itself, right? It eats itself. And so the only way out is changing this. It's the only way out.
Yeah.
I'm a perfect example of it, Coop.
I think when you come to the realization, especially when you're around people and you start to understand the conversations that typically happen around people, if you at least are starting to have some awareness and you realize that there's a lot of trauma bonding going on and a lot of victimization going on, a lot of, well, look at that, my old neighbor just got a brand new, and you start to realize that you're being a part of that. You're engaging in conversations that are based in victim mentality, trauma bonding, whatever you want to call it. If you start to have that realization, it's a good time to go, I'm going to take a peek around the people I'm hanging out with because it will continually tear you down. And eventually, if you decide to step out of that ring, this is the crabs in the bucket conversation we've had before, is now you're the person that they will start to talk about as, all of a sudden he doesn't want to hang out. He's out, trying to start new businesses, or he's trying to, do all these. You will realize that you are a part of the crabs in the bucket. You try to get out and they try to pull you back in. So there's another realization about the really widespread victim mentality that is out there, especially nowadays in this country, and you topple social media on top of that, where it's just compounded. You say something about somebody else that's having success, and people start to like that, and I love that, and yeah, you're right, that person is having too much success. You go, why am I engaging in these types of conversations when I should be perhaps trying to elevate myself out of these conversations?
Yeah, I call it the cesspool of stinking thinking. And if you find yourself in there, get the hell out as soon as you can, take a really hot shower, and never enter into that tank again, because it will only swallow you whole and you'll never come out smelling like a rose. Yeah. I hate to keep using these kind of, analogies here, but it's really true, man. It is really, really true. And we started this conversation about tribes. And I think this is a nice kind of, complete the circle, is that if your tribe is a tribe of stinking thinking, then that's when you want to seek another tribe, new friends, new associations, new, television shows, whatever it is that's feeding into this thought. Like you and I, during the whole pandemic, we told people, get away from the news. Mm-hmm. It is the ultimate cesspool of stinking thinking. And so there's no way out of it if you immerse yourself in media and news all day, every day. And that's why I've been out for over a year now, and social media, other than my page that I can control, I just don't engage. And people say, it's probably affecting your business. You know what? It might be. But my mental well-being and the people I want to engage in is far more important than numbers, likes, shares, things like that.
Yeah. And I think what people realize, when people could ask, well, how do I find a new tribe? Do I just go out? Is it like a tribe app, and you just find a new tribe? I think when you start to
good business idea.
Hang on a second, the tribe app. But I think when you start to implement the things that you're talking about, when you start to think a different way and react a different way, and instead of this is happening to me or this is happening for me, what am I witnessing? I think by default, a new tribe tends to find its way into your peripheral vision magically, somehow, some way.
Man, you nailed that. You nailed it. Again, soon as you change the thought patterns, so the perfect example is somebody goes out and they see a car on the road. Maybe it's a black SUV Audi. They haven't seen it before. It's really cool. Man, that's a cool looking vehicle. Guess what? Now they start to see them everywhere. Never saw one before, but now they do. Why? Because they're conscious of it. Mm. So when you make that conscious decision, you begin to see, as I mentioned before, the opportunities that are around you, the people that are around you, the groups that you can become a part of, the organizations that you can join. All of a sudden, they become abundant. Where have these been all my life? Well, they've been here every day. Mm-hmm. It's just because you finally climbed out of that hole, that cesspool that you've been stuck in, the one I was in for a long time, right? And so many of us find ourselves in from time to time.
A lot of good stuff today, Dr. J. I do want to circle back around to the Financial Freedom 2021 Virtual Summit, which is coming up August 3rd and 4th. The link for anybody that just joined us is in the comment section of today's show. So jump on there, find out more about it. I know it's going to be, there's a lot of value in what you're offering with 5 other speakers on there. It's going to be great. So want to make sure people got that plug in and take some things out of today. And maybe if you just start to make that small turn, and you become more aware of the things that are entering into your life, you'd be like, yeah, Cooper and Dr. J, they once in a while know what they're talking about. Once in a while.
Quick point on that for your listeners. If it's hard for them to kind of visualize what it is they want, I don't like doing this, but it does help. Start thinking about what you don't want. And as you eliminate what you do, I don't want this relationship. I don't like this kind of person. I hate this kind of job. When you start to list, all of a sudden, then you begin to see through the weeds the stuff that you would like, the vision that you would kind of like to create. So some people move towards pleasure. Most people move away from pain. So making a list of the things that you don't like will help you see the things that you do like. And the final note on the summit If you can attend, sign up. It's virtual. You will get a playback link, and you can watch it as often as you want each presenter.
That's awesome. Good stuff today, Dr. J. I love that. Not love the idea of looking at the things that you don't love, but I think for certain mindsets, when you don't have a real clear understanding of what it is that you do want, and that's one of the big questions I know in entrepreneurship and when you start to work out or when you're trying to like, what do you want? You're like, I want to make more money. I want to have a six pack. It's pretty vague, but if you look at, okay, I don't want this anymore. I don't want to struggle getting off of the couch. I don't want to not be able to go and attend concerts or go and spend the weekend on the lake. That can, I think, help some people who have a real problem, like visualizing what it is specifically that they want. They go, oh, well, the opposite of that suctitude is this. Write that down. Become clear. Good stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a tool we use called the Clarity Tool, and it's really powerful.
Love it. Dr. J, as always, a pleasure. New podcast episode dropped today, I'm sure, because it's what you do. You just drop new podcasts every day, just throwing new stuff down.
Absolutely. Yeah. Check it out. PowerPassionProsperity.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. J. We'll catch up with you in a week, my friend.
Thanks, Coop. Be well.
Awesome. There you go. Good stuff today from Dr. J. Inspired versus motivated. Long, short. Inspired comes from within. Motivated comes from outside. A lot of good stuff today. Man, feeling good. I'm feeling inspired from today's show, and hopefully you are too. And make sure you check out that link for the virtual Financial Freedom 2021 Summit with Dr. J. He's got a bunch of great speakers on there as well. Sign up. The link, again, is right in the comment section of today's program. Great stuff. Tomorrow on the show, up-and-coming country artist got a brand new song out that we're going to talk to him about tomorrow. His name is Garrett Schultz. He will join the show at 5:10 tomorrow. Be here. And then the first ever in-person live show. In-person live show. Let's go with it. Comes up on Wednesday. Bobby Tripp and Cooper. We're going to throw down and talk about radio. That's coming up on Wednesday. Until then, hit the links. There we go. Please make sure you share the show. A lot of good stuff today for Dr. J. Good for you to digest. Good for other folks in your circle to digest. And we're going to come up with the Tribe app. Upgrade your tribe. Maybe there's an idea there. Who knows? They come from the strangest places. Please share the show. Peace. Joe, hope you had a good trip. Drive safely. We are coming to Cameron August 7th for the Joe Stam Band. Plan live accordingly. It's happening. Y'all take care of yourself. Peace.